Welcome to RPG Book Club, the podcast where we play a little bit of a video game and talk about how it makes us feel. I'm Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Maddie Grace Webben.
What the? It's Maddie. It's 2022 again, everybody. Maddie's back.
Hi, guys.
Yeah.
Maddie is here because today we are starting our coverage of Panzer Dragoon Saga, playing until we reach the end of the first disc. But before we get started, how was everyone's last 4 years?
I mean, they happened.
They sure did.
Remember how 4 years ago I had just started being a UPS driver and I was working like 1 billion hours a day, and I had also just gone through a devastating breakup, and it wasn't actually because of my emotional state. It was actually because of my job and also time zones. I was just like, wow, it's impossible to find a time to record this ever. I guess I just can't do it anymore. Yeah, so that's all the same.
Yeah.
I will say my Sundays are a lot more free than they used to be. 10 a.m. on a Sunday is still rough, but it's not so rough that I couldn't do it this time for good old Panzer Dragoon. Also, my life's falling apart in ways I won't get into, so I actually took off of work yesterday, so it was extra easy for me to be here.
Hell yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, no, life is good. I still drive my truck. I work 1 million hours and am now making the maximum. I'm at the top rate. I make a shit ton of money now, which that feels bad to brag because a lot of people don't. But it's like, look, I took this good job because of the good union, and I many years ago thought this job's gonna suck ass for like 7 years, and eventually I'm gonna make a lot of money, and now I am. So I'm proud of myself.
Oh yeah.
I'm married now.
Oh hell yeah.
Y'all know that, but the
Yes.
people listening don't. Me and my wife, who I was dating this person last time we talked easily. But we got courthouse married in December 8th. We got courthouse married. I have a beautiful ring. And
For some reason, when you started saying courthouse married, I thought you were going to say court-martialed.
we got court-martialed. That's right. No, other than that, I have started writing. I know last time I was like, I'm going to write some. Bernard, remember in Community, the one where the dean is like, I'm learning Excel? The recurring bit where he's always just like trying to sprinkle in like, I've been learning Excel. That's like been me for years with like, I've been writing some articles, by the way, or I've been thinking about writing an article. Well, anyway, I'm finally writing my articles, and I'm currently writing a video game.
Hell yeah.
Bernard knows what it is. I think Sam knows what it is.
I don't think I know what it is.
Maybe you don't. It's my stupidest. I've been calling it my stupidest idea yet. It's like the second Five Iron Frenzy album is called Our Newest Album Ever. This is my stupidest game idea ever.
Does that also imply that all your future game ideas will be progressively stupider?
Obviously.
Okay.
Unlike most of my game ideas, I actually think I'm going to successfully complete this one. My endless series of starting projects and not finishing them, I think is at an end. This project is sufficiently scoped due to the nature of it. It is an extremely specific size and cannot really get bigger or smaller. So it is sort of a like sit down and hammer it out a little bit every night until it's done type project.
Yeah.
And of course, I will be wanting my old buddies at RPG Book Club to tell everyone about it when it's done. So if you're a regular listener, I don't know, wait a couple months and you'll probably hear about it. All right, that's about 4 years worth of my life.
Sounds
Okay.
good. What about you, Bernard? How was your week? You don't have to give all 4 years.
I got new glasses. I mentioned last week I was getting new glasses for my fucked up eyes. Unfortunately, my left eye is still fucked up. So like the light comes in and it's arranged properly for my eye, but it's still a little smeary because my eye just doesn't work. So that's a little disappointing. And man, yesterday I had the worst new glasses headache. It was so bad.
Hate new glasses headaches.
Yeah. But my vision is better than it was before I got new glasses. And I think I mentioned on Victory Lap, I've been playing Fire Emblem Three Houses yet again. This is my first time replaying it since it came out, but I just played it so much when it first came out. And I could be doing other stuff with my time, but I'm not.
Oh yeah. My week was very eventful. So first thing, and most important in a life sense, least important in a podcast with Maddie Grace sense, is yesterday I had to take Scarlett to the emergency room because the back of her one remaining earring was embedded. So the skin grew over the back of her whole earring, which was not good. So that was harrowing and really gross because they needed my help to hold her down during the procedure. So me, super squeamish guy, was like 4 inches away from active surgery, and that was just a horrible time. But
Oh dear.
she's good. She got everything out. She acted very, very drunk for like most of the night because the medicine was making her very, very silly. But today she's just taking it easy, and she told me on the way home that she only wants to try again to get her ears pierced when she turns 14. So in 5 years, maybe she'll have her ears pierced again. But the important news for Maddie Grace being here is on Thursday for family movie night. I finally watched Speed Racer.
Oh my God, the new 4K version that they put out?
Um, Technically, yes. So we started with my DVD, but my DVD had a scratch at the end of the first race. So even though it was obvious to me that Speed won the race, I have been watching movies for forever. So Scarlet and the Storm were like, "Wait, what happened?" So I then got a free trial of Howdy. Has the 4K version on it, and so then we finished it watching from there on the
It's
4K
literally on
version.
Howdy. Just make an
Yeah.
account on Howdy and download it. Howdy has it for
Howdy?
you. It's on Howdy.
Okay, I know that's the bit, but I've literally never heard of Howdy.
No, me
It's
either.
the
Absolutely not.
It used to be Freevee, the cheaper Amazon Prime one that was
Oh,
tied
I've
to
heard of
course.
Freevee. I've
Oh,
heard
of
of
course.
Freevee.
Freevee, duh. Obviously, it's on
Is
Freevee.
it spelled
it's
like
literally on
Howdy,
Freevee.
like Texas?
Yeah, Howdy, just like Texas. But if you've heard of Jury Duty, Maddie, that's the only thing Freevee has ever done that anyone cared
I
about.
don't know
If
what any of these things are.
Yeah, there's literally no other reason to ever know that this exists. I just looked on justwatch.com to see where it was playing and saw that it
Yeah,
was
sure.
free. So
Freevee
that's
has
the
it
only
for
reason I
you.
know about it. So yeah, it's insane that these two girls reinvented action movies twice, and then that no one listened the second time because we could be living in a world of multiple speed
Yep.
racers, and instead we just have one.
Speed
But
Racer
it's
invented an entire suite of new filmmaking methods and techniques and ideas, and none of them were ever used again because it costs way too much money, and we don't live in a world where things are good.
Yes. But yeah, it absolutely 100% held up in a way that like a lot of things that a lot of my friends really, really like don't hold up all the way. Like I am kind of bored with Twin Peaks, and that's just the fact that all of my friends are really obsessed with it,
That's
and
crazy.
therefore it's harder for me to. I'm still going to finish it. I'm still enjoying it enough, but I'm like, apparently when I've talked to other people about where I am in season 2, that's the part where they're like, oh yeah, that part sucks, but it's about to be great for the rest of it. So
Oh, you're in like the back half of season 2?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I was.
Yeah,
Sam
yeah.
was like, "Yeah, I'm feeling a little burnt out on it." Like, did James leave Twin Peaks? And he was
Yeah.
like, "Who's James?" And I
You
was
love
like, "The kid with the forehead."
Evelyn.
And he was like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Yeah, that whole part."
Yeah.
Yeah,
I will
but
say, as I rewatch that show, every time I rewatch the series, I get to like, all right, here's the bad part. And every time I'm like, the bad part is less and less bad, and I'm more just
Yeah,
like, no, this owns actually. But yeah, no, first time through, it's like the show goes from being a like perfect masterpiece to like, oh shit, what's his name? To like, I can't even remember his name. The villain.
in Twin Peaks,
Yeah,
Earl, is that his name?
yeah. It's just like Wyndham Earl being there, and you're just
Yeah.
like, all right, cool, I guess.
yeah.
he
Yeah,
he
like
sure is there.
yeah, it definitely feels like something that when I finish, I will enjoy and I will be able to go back and watch it again. But I was ready for it to blow me away, and it didn't blow me away. The first like 4 episodes are just a cop procedural that Kyle MacLachlan happens to be there, and then it gets Twin Peaksy after that. And so I was not as instantly wowed by it, but like 4 minutes into Speed Racer, I'm like, this is the best visual experience I've had in my entire life,
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
it was
the
so
um,
good.
the narrative and themes of Speed Racer do not move me the way they used
Yeah.
to. Mostly because I don't actually like the Wachowskis' politics very much. I think it's very like, I mean, they're like late 90s, early aughts, like anarcho libs, and I find that very obnoxious. But the fucking filmmaking.
Yeah.
The older I get, the more and more the craft on display just leaves my jaw on the floor.
Absolutely.
I just the other day learned how they did the thing where the camera goes around, Trinity as she's hanging in the air and all those. I think they do that like 3 or 4 times in the first
Yeah,
movie. I just learned how they did it, which, listener, they simply put a ring of like over 100 cameras around the
yeah.
scene.
Yeah. It's so cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
But
No, Speed Racer is really something else. I mean, it's the second best Wachowski film behind Jupiter Ascending, of course.
I
Obviously.
Jupiter Ascending is the next one that
Uh,
Maddie Grace has specifically messaged me at like 2 a.m. Was like, I was just thinking about it, and I think you specifically would really like Jupiter Ascending.
yeah,
So I'm
I'm
excited for
joking about it. I'm joking about it being their best film. You might think it is their best film because you like stuff that's fucking stupid.
That's me.
Um, Me too, just not as much as you. No, their best film is Matrix 3, for the record.
Yeah.
Obviously.
That's my
I
actual
have
opinion.
in my now playing shelf where I keep 3 movies, 3 shows, 3 games, and 3 books to pick from so that I don't have
I
analysis
love that.
paralysis. I replaced Speed Racer when I finished it. I replaced it with The Matrix. So I'm going to watch all 4 of them next because
Oh,
I haven't watched the fourth one, and I watched the third one the day that it came to DVD, and that was the last time, and that was when Budokai 3 came out, so that was a long time ago.
wait, no, hold on. Matrix 4, that just came out a couple years ago, right?
Yeah,
Oh
Yeah.
4
my
came out.
God.
For
Um,
some definitions of a couple.
Yeah.
I'm old as the hills. I'm crumbling into dust. Oh, by the way, as far as how's your week, I forgot to say something very important. Me and my wife
Mhm.
have been played Halo. Now,
So, yeah.
I've been a huge Halo lover ever since I was a kid. My wife, not so much. Also, neither of us are big fans of first-person shooters, but Kali is an extra not big fan of first-person shooters. But I got him to play Halo with me, mostly because we're waiting for our crops to grow in near so that we can complete a quest involving growing crops, and they grow in real time. So it's like, well, we can't play the game. We can't get ending B for like 2 more days, so let's just play Halo. But anyway, we beat it. And obviously he doesn't love it the way that I love it, but he had a great time. I actually wasn't sure, like, how much is my wife really going to love this game? But then he was like, hey, babe, if Halo 2 became on the TV, I wouldn't object. And I was like, oh, let's play Halo 2, baby. So we're halfway through Halo 2 now, and I'm very happy about playing Halo with my wife. Yeah, we even have a theme song for gaming with my wife, which is the name of the activity. It goes like this: gaming with my wife.
Oh, nice.
Anyway, I forgot I needed to tell you guys I was playing Halo 2.
You know what I've been playing?
What?
Panzer Dragoon Saga.
All right, so brief thing. The year is 2000, and frankly, I could not tell you. 4, 5. Maddie Grace Weapon, as a child, is at Christmas time, and it's Christmas time in Texas, but not at home. We're not at home. We're at my uncle's house, and I have a very rich uncle. My dad's kind of the fail son of his family. I say that with love, obviously. Nothing wrong with a failed child. Anyway, we're at my rich uncle's house, and I got Panzer Dragoon for Christmas. And I couldn't even wait to get home. I guess I had an Xbox. Anyway, I played Panzer Dragoon Orta, a game that I didn't know what the fuck Panzer Dragoon was. I didn't grow up playing Sega. I barely knew what a rail shooter was, but I was captivated by the graphics and especially by the main character Orta, who made me have lots of strange feelings looking at this depressed looking young woman with a cool gun. Anyway, so ever since then, I've always been deeply in love with the Panzer Dragoon franchise. After playing the worst game in the series, Orta, it's still really good. It's just the worst one in the series. Years later, I got into the real thing, but that's why to me, Panzer Dragoon is always going to be a Christmas game to me. Because I got it as a Christmas present. So, every year I play the Panzer Dragoon series around Christmas. Now, it is not Christmas right now, but I'm not in charge of this podcast. Um,
I had
but
no
I just
idea
wanted-
these were Christmas games.
Yeah, these actually are in fact Christmas games. So really, I should have done like a Panzer Dragoon Saga Parasite Eve. Oh, we've already done Parasite Eve.
We've already did Parasite.
Yeah. But anyway, those are my.
running dangerously low on Christmas video games.
Yeah. You didn't know this, but it's Christmas in August because of Panzer Dragoon Saga. But anyway, that's part of why I'm here because I love these games so much ever since Christmas of whatever year that was. When it snowed in Southeast Texas, not very common at all. It snowed that year.
Oh yeah.
So anyway, the year was 1993. Sega was working on this hot new console called the Saturn to be released a year later. Now, they were also working on a hot new add-on to the Mega Drive called the 32X, which would also be released a year later. How does that make any sense? Well, it didn't make sense at the time, and it doesn't make sense now. I don't think video games have yet developed culturally to the point where we can have like a... You know how with literature, you can be like, oh yeah, I'm an academic. I've got multiple PhDs. I'm a scholar. What's my entire field? My entire field is like the works of Christopher Marlowe when he was like age 35 to 37. That's my entire field as a scholar. And to be clear, that's not criticism. That's awesome.
Oh yeah.
One day video games will be like that. And we'll have like a PhD scholar of like mid-90s Sega history. We don't have that
wonderful
now.
news for you.
What?
I listened to an episode of the Video Game History Hour, like literally, I think 2 days ago, and it was an episode from about 6 months ago about a guy who has been like PhD thesis level researching the history of Sega in the 90s, and he touched on why they made the 32X and the Saturn in a lot of ways that made a lot of sense. And so check out that.
Glad we have that, though it ruins my joke, because my joke was saying that one day we will have such a scholar, and when we do, that beautiful transgender woman can explain it to us.
Well, this person might be an egg, so we'll see.
That's true. Time will tell. Anyway, Lord knows what Sega was up to, but needed some new hotness for the pattern. They had fuck all. A very young man, age 23, I think. No, I won't look it up, named Yukio Futatsuki, who basically just got there, pitched a few ideas, and Sega really liked that one was, as far as I can tell, basically just, quote, what if rail shooter, and immediately put him and a more old-timer arcade guy named Manabu Kusunogi as the founders and head of Team Andromeda, a brand new team made to make new Saturn games, specifically Panzer Dragoon. In addition, and I promise I read this somewhere at the time from a good source. I cannot find the source now, but I remember Futatsuki was a big fan of RPGs, and he really wanted to make an RPG. But he got given a shooting game instead. Obviously, this is relevant. So I'm not actually going to get too into the weeds here. I would love to give you a lot of stuff about the development of this series, but actually, unlike most video game stuff, there's tons of documentation. There's so many great reviews about it that it's actually like almost too much to summarize. The Wikipedia pages are quite robust, and the fan site Panzer Dragoon Legacy has a lot of links to various interviews and magazine scans. I would encourage listeners to check stuff out for themselves because there's just so much great stuff here. But here's the key points. Panzer Dragoon was envisioned as a sort of punk rock and avant-garde game right from the start. They really wanted to make something like nothing else. Later, when making Phantom Dust, Futatsuki described his goal as the desire to create something, quote, with permanence, which I love that. Basically, all the graphical and world-building decisions came from the technical limitations or capabilities of the Saturn. For example, this is the game Panzer Dragoon, by the way. For example, the post-apocalyptic ruinous world was because they realized the Saturn could easily do a textured flat plane that stretches infinitely to the horizon, but couldn't put a lot of actual objects, so sparseness and loneliness became key tonal ideas. Also, they basically had to raw dog everything. They didn't even have actual real final Saturn hardware specs until late in development, so they had to like make most of their graphics libraries and other such things from scratch. They were just like hard coding fucking everything instead of having all the dev tools they're supposed to have. Yeah. So anyway, the game Panzer Dragoon, a rail shooter. If you're not sure what that is, you know how Star Fox, when you're not in all range mode, you fly in a straight line and you just get to control your movement and shooting? That's Panzer Dragoon. But you're flying on a cool, really weird looking dragon.
Yes.
So here's the plot. It's a hella post-apocalyptic world. It looks like Dune. It looks like Nausicaa. There's all these ancient ruins and scary bioengineered monsters, both from the old destroyed world. Ancient, super high technology destroyed world. An evil empire has started using a lot of the old tech to take over more and more territory, with a lot of their ships and weapons coming from this giant black tower, which is some kind of ancient army. So a lone hunter guy is out riding a weird alien camel thing, trying to shoot bugs. He discovers some crazy weird ruins. He sees two giant fucking dragons fighting. One is blue and smaller, and one is black and red and scary looking and big. The blue dragon has a masked rider. The scary looking dragon blasts the blue dragon's rider through the chest, and he falls to the ground in front of our hero and says something like, "Don't let the dragon get to the tower." Sorry, he doesn't say it, he like psychically links with the hero. That's very important. He's like, "Don't let the dragon get to the tower." Our hero is just like a regular tribal huntsman guy, and he's like terrified out of his gourd. He's like, what on earth is going on? But then the blue dragon kind of eyes him with fierce intent, and they kind of have a connection, and he decides, all right, I'm going to jump on the dragon, honor this dead man's bequest. So, in a story told almost entirely through wordless graphics, there's occasional voiced cutscenes, but it's just Imperial ships saying, like, "We have to pursue the dragon and defeat him. We must activate the tower." Basically, you fly through a bunch of environments and blast a bunch of monsters and Imperial ships and ancient mechanized things, and the dragon does get to the tower. The bad dragon transforms into a really big scary monster, and we kill it. If it sounds like I'm being vague, I'm only being as vague as the game is. Unfortunately for the podcast form, the primary appeal of these games is aesthetics and vibe. The moody, lonely world, and the mysterious, barely defined narrative etched out in the stonework of a much larger but scarcely seen, much less understood edifice. The on-rails nature of the game means everything flies by, seen for a moment and then gone. Someone has even suggested, this might be Tim Rogers, but I don't actually remember, that the fact that we play a person riding on a dragon rather than piloting a jet plane or something lends even further to this mystery. The dragon knows what's going on, but we, the avatar, do not need to know. Like, the dragon's on a mission, we're just riding on top of him with a gun. Anyway, the game ends with the dragon and rider flying into the tower. The rider gets surrounded by like a blue orb and teleported away, I think by the dragon itself. Like, "Hey man, thanks for the help, get out of here." The tower blows the fuck up, and the rider is left wondering what any of this meant. But he does see some blue dragon-shaped footprints in the sand, suggesting that the legendary Panzer Dragoon lives on. So that's basically it. The game was a huge hit. I mean, relatively speaking, it was on the Saturn after all.
Yeah.
So
the way Splatoon was a huge hit.
Exactly. So, Team Andromeda started making Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, another rail shooter. And soon after, the developments overlapped a lot. Azel, Panzer Dragoon RPG, also known as Panzer Dragoon Saga. So, Zwei. Again, there's a lot of fascinating stuff about its development, but you can look it up your dang self because it's surprisingly well documented. But the short version is, it's just Panzer Dragoon, but better.
It's Panzer Dragoon, the video game, in a lot of ways.
Yeah. They made it a lot more narrative. Like, there's more cutscenes, there's a lot more in-game stuff happening in the levels. They also made it a lot easier.
Yes. Oh my god, the first game is so hard.
Panzer Dragoon 1 is like a tough arcade action game. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei is, I think, a narrative and aesthetic experience first and foremost. And in service of that, they made it where you can maybe not beat it on your first try, but you can beat it while only game overing like a couple times. Whereas Panzer Dragoon 1 is like, you have to replay the game a number of times to be able to get to the end of it. Bernard, you actually played Panzer Dragoon 1, although I recall that you noped out, and then you played Zwei like last week. So do you want to talk about what happens in Zwei, insofar as you understood any of it?
I actually played Panzer Dragoon 1 like last week as well, and then I played Zwei right after. I just don't think I messaged you about it until I messaged you to say, after I played Zwei, and I messaged you to say Panzer Dragoon Zwei kicks insane ass.
So
I believe were my words.
Panzer Dragoon 1, right? Because you noped out of it.
Yes, and then I mentioned, I did play Panzer Dragoon, but I wanted to see the whole thing before we played Saga, so I was like, yeah, I'm just going to do the invincibility cheat code so I can see the last level, because I couldn't beat it even with save scumming at that. It would have taken a lot longer.
The game gets really intense. Also, if you're playing on easy mode, you can't even play the whole game.
Yeah.
This game is nasty. It has 3 skill levels, easy, medium, and hard. And the game has, I think, 7 levels. If you play the game on easy, after level 4, it's like, okay, that's the end. Play it on medium next time, dipshit. Which is so mean.
So Panzer Dragoon 2, Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei, let me see how much I remember. There is a guy in a village who seems to be, again, like some sort of hunter, and some of his hunter friends are like, they kill this small creature, and they're like, these creatures are cursed, or something like that. Then it turns out
there's these little baby dragon guys, and it's actually a rule in their village that they actually raise these. There's actually a name for the creatures. I forget what they're called.
Yeah,
so there's a name for these little dragon thingies, and they raise them like they're ranchers. But if any of them have this mutation where they kind of like glow green, you immediately murder them. So yeah, that's what they set up.
And then it turns out he's keeping one that has the glowing mutation, and it also has wings.
And to be clear, it's out of the kindness of his heart. Literally, he goes to shoot it, and he's just like, I can't do it. It's like a little baby. I can't do it.
Yes. So he keeps it. I forget the exact sequence of events, but basically he is away from the village. The village gets attacked by the Empire, I guess, and his baby dragon, he goes on an adventure with it to get revenge, I guess. I don't know. I'm trying to remember. It's all so vague, and also I was trying to stay alive because it is easier, but it's not like trivial.
It is revenge. And I will say a few more things. Sorry, I should have said. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei is a prequel to Panzer Dragoon. So the dragon's name is Lagi, and it is very obviously implied that this is the same dragon as from the first game, but like it's like the origin story of this dragon from the first game. So the prequel. The plot is so vague it doesn't matter a whole lot, but like it is a different guy and it is cool.
And one neat thing is that the dragon actually can't fly at the beginning. You start out running along the ground, which is something you never did in the first game. You run along the ground shooting, and then I think it's like in the second or third level you actually start flying for the first time.
It's halfway through the second level in game. It's amazing.
Yes.
You just jump off a cliff, and then he fully grows wings and starts flying.
Yes. It's so cool. And I'm trying to remember what happens at the end other than some Space Odyssey shit.
Yeah, at the end, it's the same thing. There's like a tower, and you're chasing an evil dragon to a tower. And if you... this game has a few new features that's very important. It's important to talk about the mechanics because of the RPG part. So original Panzer Dragoons, the only thing that makes it different from like Star Fox or something is you have 360-degree aiming. Because again... You're a person riding on top of a dragon. The dragon's always flying forward, but you, the person, can look all around yourself. And if you press L and R on the controller, you'll rotate the camera 90 degrees. So you can look behind you or to your right or to your left. And you have a radar. So it'll show, a bunch of enemies on your tail. Flip that camera around, blast them. Oh, enemies to the right. Flip the camera around, blast them. You can also, you tap the button to fire bullets out of your gun and hold the button to paint a bunch of targets, and then release to blast them with Dragon Breath. Dragon Breath is the main thing in the game. The bullet tapping is a more rare thing. You use the bullet tapping to like shoot down missiles that are coming at you. Like most of the game is you're painting and you're lasering, you're painting and you're lasering. Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei is basically the same mechanics, but it adds a super meter that fills up, and when you use it, it just does like a big fuck you attack.
That's one thing that makes the game much easier, because if you get into a bad situation, if you've saved up your Berserk, I believe it's called, wisely, you can use that to get out of a bad situation. Panzer Dragoon 1, you get in a bad situation, you're fucked.
Yeah. Also, Panzer Dragoon 2 Zwei has alternate paths in each level. Often which are free to see, but basically at a certain point in a level, you just like pull your dragon right or left, and you'll go in a different direction. Sometimes you have to like have killed a certain number of enemies by a certain point in the level, and that's cool. Every level often might even have like different bosses or pretty damn different sequences, which is very, very exciting. The like ancient ruins section has like 5 branches, which is really cool. God, that was awesome. Final thing is the game has dragon forms. Every level, based on your shoot percentage and what route you took, if you took the hard route or the easy route, and a few other things, your dragon will kind of, I guess you might say, get experience points, though it's not really explained that deeply. And then your dragon will transform into, because remember, your dragon starts as a baby, so your dragon grows throughout the course of the game. And which form it turns into is based on like what you did. There's like branching forms, but you do have to get all the way to the final form, which means you have to take like all the hard routes. And you have to like perfectly play the game basically in order to get the true final boss and the true ending, which doesn't matter anyway. And this is all important because these mechanics will return in the game we're actually discussing today.
Yes.
Finally, you get to the ending, and yeah, you get to the ending. There's a tower, there's a dragon, there's a lengthy series of 2001: A Space Odyssey type, like, mysterious visions that the writer gets. I've played the game like a dozen times, and I still don't remember what happens in these visions.
Yeah.
It's just like your guy has a bunch of trippy, prophetic visions, and then he's left again on the sand wondering, what did it all mean?
As are we.
Yeah, and is there more to it? Yeah, but it doesn't really matter. Because Panzer Dragoon Saga is its own thing, and also when Panzer Dragoon Saga references Zwei, which it will, by the way, it will actually explain some of the stuff that happened. So that is a better explanation than me telling you the beat by beat of like, and then you see this weird image, and then you see this weird image, and then you see this weird image, and we don't know what any of it means anyway, so why did I even bother telling you?
If you want that, listen to the .hack.gu longcast.
Yeah.
For fucking real, dude. But yeah, so the point is, this is a series that largely trades in strange. I mean, I think they were probably very inspired not just by Dune in general, but I feel like they were probably really inspired by David Lynch's Dune, the film.
Yes.
I don't know. I think they've said that, though, in the brief reading I did just now. I was reviewing some interviews and stuff for writing for today, and I didn't see that in anything I was reading today, but I think they've said that. Anyway, yeah, so that's Spy. A few more things. I know there's a long intro, but I mean, I'm explaining 3 games here. Also, this game's really short, so it's not like there's none of the interviews or articles I've read preparing this information sufficiently answer what to me is the most important question, which is, why did they make an RPG? People have their reasons. People do have their reasons, but I don't really think we wanted to expand the story more and RPGs are cool is like a sufficient answer. Because that's just a really bizarre thing to do with the series. Well, anyway, they did. They expanded the hell out of the team to like 50 people, which if you think about the time, 50 people is a massive team.
Yeah.
It went way over time, way over budget. No one who made Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2 had made an RPG before, so they had to bring in a bunch of guys. The main battle planner was a major designer from Sakura Tyson, by the way. Yeah. So anyway, they try to do about 1 million new things. First of all, the game is fully voice acted. Second of all, the game is entirely 3D. Not like 3D models with pre-rendered environments or 2D sprites and 3D dioramas. Fully, everything is 3D, camera rotating ass 3D. In 1998. Yes. Thirdly, they turned a rail shooter into a JRPG battle system. And fourthly, vast majorities of the game's scenes are in-game real-time processing, not FMVs. If you look up interviews or oral histories on the game, what keeps coming up is that the team saw all of these things that other games hadn't done yet and decided to do all of them at the same time in one game with a team that had just been made that had not worked together before. So everyone's like, yeah, this entire project was a massive fucking mess and a massive disaster. Basically, they were going balls to the wall trying to make something fucking awesome. They bit off way more than they could chew. The entire development was a mess, and the game sold like shit. It wasn't until later that everyone could look back and say, yeah, that game was awesome. Also, if you look at the Polygon oral history, which is quite good. Again, it's one of the many interviews there is. Basically, all the higher ups, like the producers, the directors, they were like, "This was the hardest thing I've ever done in my life." Like, making this game nearly killed me. It was miserable, and I was so stressed. All the lower down people on the team were like, yeah, we could tell the higher ups were having a terrible time, but we were having a great time. One of the people even said, I wanted the development of this game to go on forever. And I think you can tell that despite the project being a mess, a lot of the people making it were just having the time of their lives making this.
The
There's
composer
one
was
final
certainly
thing.
having a good time.
That's right.
Music in this game is
Yeah.
wild.
There's one final thing. It's not exactly set up for the game, but rather a flash forward. Futatsuki, one of the main creative drivers of the series, was very young when he led the Panzer Dragoon. I have heard that next you guys are going to be playing. Wait, maybe I shouldn't spoil it. I've heard that next there might be Xbox and Xbox games on the table for being voted upon. And let's just say, remember how the 360 in the Xbox and 360 era, Microsoft was trying really, really hard to make the Xbox popular in Japan, and they kept getting they kept releasing all this weird stuff like FromSoft games like Bullet Witch
Togi.
or shit like Infinite Undiscovery or Enchant Arm or and then I mean they got Mistwalker to do like Blue Dragon and Lost Odyssey. Like they kept getting they kept trying to get this Japanese stuff, but but the thing is they weren't like, well, I guess they did get Final Fantasy 13, but instead of being like, let's get a hot new Resident Evil game to be exclusive, or let's get like Persona 4, they were like, yeah, let's get some weirdos to make Infinite Undiscovery. And
they were like, instead of catering to the Western market, let's cater to Sam Allman.
Right. The point is, a lot of their attempts to appeal to the Japanese audience fell short because instead of greenlighting and catering and trying to court really popular mass appeal games, they made a bunch of really weird cult shit for sickos. And these games are all awesome, but they're not exactly killer or system sellers. So so you might be thinking, okay, whoever was in charge of what games to put to court the Japanese audience must have had really good taste, but really bad business sense. Anyway, that was Yukio Futatsuki.
Oh.
Yeah, that was Panzer Dragoon Guy. Panzer Dragoon Guy, after making Saga, bounced around for a while, ended up at Microsoft Japan, and he was in charge of what games are we going to put on the console to make Japanese gamers want to get an Xbox. And let's just say,
wonder they're so weird and artsy and not correct for the job.
That's why I had to explain this. This same man was, again, he was in charge of making business decisions. It's like there's movies out there where you're like, this movie was amazing, but obviously it was way too weird and artsy to ever be a success, so whichever studio exec greenlit it was bad at their job. If they were better at their job, this movie wouldn't have ever gotten made. Mm-hmm. That's like every single game that Yukio Futatsuki was involved in getting on the Xbox. And I got this information from a variety of sources, and I'm sure I'm getting some of my information wrong, okay? But what I'm saying is generally true. Just fucking source, bro, just trust me, right? Mm-hmm. Finally, a lot of these Sega people, Panzer Dragoon people and others, they all bounced around, and a lot of them ended up founding Smilebit, or, what are the other companies? Fucking Kavia. Yeah, so basically the entire Microsoft had all these second-party developers that were just like support guys. Smilebit was one. There were two of them. There was Smilebit and another one that I can't remember the name of. And I'm sorry, I should have looked this up, but I was looking up a lot of stuff. And these people were running support. Like if you play Blue Dragon, it'll be like Mistwalker with the support of other company. If you look at Lost Odyssey, it's like Mistwalker with support of other company. You look at Nier, it's like Kavia with support of other company. All these companies were second-party Microsoft guns for hire, and they were all Sega alums, and a lot of them were Panzer Dragoon alums. So this series had a weird, long, diasporic afterlife of weird Microsoft games, mostly. And yeah, I think, and some of them also went on to literally form Kavia. So yeah, this game does not exist in a vacuum. It kind of came out of nowhere. It has a lot more of a connection to things that happened afterward than before. It kind of came out of nowhere, but afterward, there is a spiritual connection between this game and a lot of the weird shit that you see on Xbox and Xbox 360. So, now we're ready to go.
Oh, yeah.
skin of the earth is arid and cracked, swept bare by dry winds and scorched by the pitiless sun. Deep beneath its surface, the buried ruins of an ancient age for eons lay waiting. Long mute artifacts give testimony to a lost golden age of man. They speak of the great and foolish pride that drove our forebears to explore paths only the gods were meant to tread, and create life forms beyond nature's intent. And they tell of the struggle between man's last great empire and the creations which had escaped his control. Those are the first words of the manual. Probably the first word is like open your Sega Saturn with the describe button, but that's the narrative established in the manual at the beginning. A young man with a terrible haircut stares into a seemingly bottomless valley. He asks his older companion Rua why they're guarding this dump. Rua doesn't know and doesn't care to know. He says the less you know about the Empire, the better off you are. All Edge needs to know is that the Empire hired them to guard this excavation site. Asking more questions could get him killed. And speaking of getting killed, they suddenly hear screams and gunfire from inside the caverns. It sounds like a beast from the ancient age is attacking. Edge and Rua rush inside, paying little attention to the sudden narration which explains how the Empire harnesses the ancient technologies of a utopian civilization which fell thousands of years ago. The Empire drove away the ancient biological weapons which terrorized humanity, and the people rejoiced, but then the Empire decided to be an empire and declared war on its neighboring nations, which also discovered ancient weapons.
They probably should have thought about that because they were called the Empire.
Yeah, exactly. So the Empire also ramped up its excavation and research, and so now we have an arms race of ancient technology. Probably a fun time to note that the opening cutscenes in this game are all in fake Panzer Dragoon language. When Maddie Grace said that the game is fully voiced and the earlier games had voice cutscenes, those are fake Panzer Dragoon language, except this narration and the story stuff later is in Japanese.
Yeah. I like
but
to think
the
of it as
opening
like
cutscenes are Panzer Dragoon language.
Yeah, they call it Panzerese. It is a combination of Russian, Greek, and German, I think.
Probably.
I think I like to think of it as like, it's almost like we're setting up the story in Panzerese, but because this game has so much dialogue, and it would be nice for a Japanese player to just be able to listen to the game normal style, like it's a normal game.
Mm-hmm.
It's like okay, well this is like it's like translated into Japanese,
Yes.
But yeah, most of the game actually is in regular Japanese.
It reminds me a lot of Crest of the Stars, which came after this, so it's not a reference to it. But the first episode of each season of Crest of the Stars is in fake Panzerese language, and then it's in Japanese or English if you're watching the dub from then on. And I don't know if it's a thing that happened more than twice, but it at least happened twice, and I think it's cool each time.
I will say, dubbing the game into Japanese for the Japanese player is good because sometimes the subtitles go too fast. The timing on the subtitles is bad. Maybe they're better in Japanese, but sometimes like a full sentence that spans the entire screen will appear and you'll have like 0.2 seconds to read it.
Yeah. And it does mean that, like, if you're a Japanese person playing this game, the previous two games, it's like you're playing something that's subtitled. Like you're hearing a language you don't understand and you're reading it. So it has this mysterious feel. But if you were a Japanese person, most of this game would just be like playing a normal game in your own language. Like you wouldn't be reading subtitles, right? So it would be a distinctly different feel. It's actually, funny enough, given how weird this game is, it's actually a more accessible decision, right? It feels less like a weird art thing and more just like again, if you were playing it in Japanese, we don't get that feeling because all the games are subtitled.
Yes.
But it would feel different if you were playing it in Japanese.
And it was like a whiplash for me because when it started, I was listening for Japanese because I'm trying to learn Japanese, and I was like, oh, this is definitely something else. And then as we'll get to the first playable chunk, Edge is basically by himself, so the things that he says aloud are like, huh? What's that? Which, like, in Japanese are basically grunts, and so it didn't occur to me that it wasn't fake anymore until you meet the second guy, and I'm like, wait, that guy's just speaking Japanese.
It'd be really funny if Gash were the only character who spoke Japanese.
That'd be pretty funny.
Anyway, while Edge and Rua are busy with the beast, airships approach the excavation site. A man with a terrible haircut named Kramen receives a report that their operation at the Imperial capital is proceeding according to plan. Kramen tells his lackey, Arwen, who has a pretty normal haircut, all things considered, that they must deny the Emperor his prize, and now is the time for rebellion. The ship receives a distress signal from the excavation site, so Kramen and his men are definitely going to help and not kill everyone. Edge shoots at the giant quadrupedal beast from a distant walkway, but the shots bounce right off its carapace. Rua tells Edge to run, but Edge sees a rocket-propelled grenade nearby and knows his destiny is to be an RPG hero. As Edge runs for the RPG, the beast slashes at him with its giant claw, ripping a chunk off the wall behind him. Edge has a vision of a young woman with an absolutely wild haircut.
And one of the coolest jackets you've ever seen. Does she have the jacket in this scene?
No, she doesn't. But
Okay.
I do mention in my notes later she has a really cool jacket.
Later, she'll have one of the coolest mod jackets you've ever seen. Anyway, go on.
In the literally on the Panzer Dragoon Saga Wikipedia page, there's like a photo of like some people, and it's like this inspired the jacket, and because the jacket is so notable that they had to put that on the Wikipedia page.
Wonderful.
So as the vision fades, Edge looks up and sees the same young woman embedded in a slab of rock where the wall was ripped away. Edge is stunned by her beauty and her haircut, then remembers he has RPG heroics to do. He shoots the floor under the beast and sends it plummeting into the abyss below. Edge, Rua, and some guy who's apparently their captain and like is never mentioned before he dies, but it's like apparently like a fucking father figure to Edge or something, exit the cavern to find Imperial ships and Kramen's men waiting for them. The Joker-ass individual in a mask shoots the captain with a gun while the Joker laughing. The Joker guy, whose name is Zastava, shoots Rua for good measure. Arwen knocks Edge out instead of just letting Zastava shoot him as well. Kramen orders his men to find the girl. Later, Edge comes to and sees one of the ships taking the girl from the cavern. He runs to the cliff, but Zastava shows up and shoots him. Edge falls into the canyon to his certain death as Kramen's ships depart. Meanwhile, the Imperial capital city is leveled by a massive explosion. That's probably not good. Alaki reports this to the Emperor, who doesn't seem particularly bothered. The Emperor says Kramen did this to slow them down so he could go after the ruins, but Kramen's tricks are no match for the destructive powers of the tower. The Emperor tells his lackey to use the flagship Grig Orig to crush Kramen before he can reach the tower, and I'm like, I mean, I guess you can call a flagship that if you really want to. I should save this for memorable moments, but important to note, this scene visually is so fucking cool.
Yeah.
It's so David Lynch's Dune. The Emperor's in a floating chair in the middle of this. I guess it's the bridge of the ship they're on, and like the lighting is so cool. It's great.
Let me interrupt real fast. I just remembered. Again, don't have a source for this. There's so much stuff about this game that it makes it harder because I can't remember where I read something. I can't just look up like the one article.
Yeah, usually when Sam is doing this, there's literally 2 interviews that exist. So
yeah, so funny enough, we have the opposite problem, right? It's because people love this game so much and they love talking about it. Anyway, I want to correct a lie I made earlier. I believe I read recently that no one involved in this game had seen David Lynch's Dune. And when people asked them about it later, after the game came out, people said, this reminds us a lot of David Lynch's Dune. And then they went and watched it, and then they were like, damn, this is a lot like David Lynch's Dune. I am pretty sure I read it. I'm pretty damn sure I read something not even that long ago, like in the last year. I don't know if it was made in the last year, but I think I read it in like the last year, where David Lynch's Dune was brought up in the context of the creator saying that they watched it after having made the game, which is really crazy. But it is true though that in Zwei, the Emperor's design was inspired by Baron Harkonnen. So I think they probably just read Dune and could visualize what this shit would look like, Lynch or no Lynch. So
it's
sorry for saying a lie earlier.
It's literally impossible that the Panzer Dragoon Saga could exist with no one involved having no familiarity with Dune, because it's so Dune.
Oh yeah, no. Literally,
yes, there's some Dune of some sort in here.
At least the top guys who have been interviewed, I do believe some interview were like, yeah, no, we went and watched it later because everyone keeps saying that it was like our game.
Anyway, the game now asks us, the one who controls Edge, to enter our real name. So it's probably going to use our real name later and freak us out. And we'll be like, whoa, how'd you know our name? It's because we told it. After that, we see an orb of light descend into a deep crevasse and settle into a pool of water. Edge emerges from the water, wonders how the hell he's still alive, and searches the ruins for a way out. Now, we finally get to control Edge. So if you were wondering why this very short game takes up 4 discs, consider that the opening pre-rendered cutscene alone is 15 minutes long.
This game's got the long. When you play this game, you almost feel like they must have played other, like when you're playing like Final Fantasy VII, you'll have these really like most. I feel like what enemies in Final Fantasy VII are like 3 seconds long. It's like cloud burst through the, like it's almost like they only use FMVs for things that they could not have done otherwise.
Yeah.
It's like cloud burst through the wall on a motorcycle and bam, cut to pre-rendered graphics and pre-rendered backgrounds and CG models. It's a last resort. This game, you almost feel like they looked at FF7 and were like, I mean, I don't see nothing in the rule book says you can't have a 15-minute long FMV.
Yeah, like if this game is not going to be 40 hours long, then we don't have to fit a bunch of actual game on the discs, so we can do this.
Yeah, it's really wild. Also, by the way, I didn't say this, but Panzer Dragoon 2's Vi, a game that is an action game, like a tightly paced arcade action game, also has an opening FMV that is like at least 5 minutes long.
I forget exactly how long it is, but it is longer than you would expect for a rail shooter.
For like an action game. But yeah. Anyway, go on.
Edge walks forward into a large chamber with an elevator, finds an ancient gun, and takes the elevator, and now it's time for another 4 minutes of pre-rendered cutscene. As the elevator reaches its destination, a horde of ancient beasts emerges from the shadows. Edge tries to fire his ancient gun, but it doesn't work. But the iconic lasers of a Panzer Dragoon dragon pierce the darkness and destroy the beasts. A dragon descends and approaches Edge, who has a Space Odyssey-ass vision of, presumably, the future. As you might expect, the vision largely centers around that girl from the excavation site. We also see the dragon and Edge and Kramen and an island of some sort with a monolith on it, which maybe that's the tower, who can say? Edge asks the dragon if it has chosen him, and it screeches. He climbs on its back and they fly out of the ruins. The screech is great. It's like very high-pitched and weird, and I love it. Edge wonders how to control the dragon, and in facsimile of this confusion, the game does not give us a tutorial for the flight controls, even though the game does give us plenty of tutorials later. Is this intentional ludonarrative consonance? Who can say? Anyway, after figuring out the controls, Edge flies to the excavation site, which he somehow had ended up far away from. Edge finds the captain barely clinging to life. The captain tells Edge to go after Kramen before the Imperial troops arrive. He says that the Empire doesn't like loose ends, so if they find Edge, he's as good as dead. He also says Edge should recover the mysterious girl they took instead of, like, going into hiding? I don't know. Anyway, the captain gives Edge a map or something, or actually I think it's, like a note, and you can read it in the menu, and I meant to go back and read it, and I didn't.
Well, read it next time.
Edge vows revenge against Kramen because he killed his boss, who wasn't even a named character. Weird that this whole emotional scene happened with the unnamed captain character instead of Rua, who at least had lines before this scene, if only a few.
It's explained somewhere in the game. Maybe it's in that note that you didn't read. Maybe it's later. It is vaguely hinted at that this captain was a real, like, father figure to Edge.
Yes. So I know that you can read it in the menu because I went to the menu and saw it and I like clicked through it and I was like, oh, I'll read this later when I have time. But I did see the line, will Edge ever call me father? And I was like, I mean, you don't have a name, so he has to call you something.
The thing is, a lot of this game's underwritten mysteriousness, I honestly, like, some of it is so obviously intentional, but obviously a lot of it is just because it was stuff that was cut or because the game was rushed or because the game's development was a mess. But the stuff that was intentional about the game is so well done that all the stuff that was clearly just like sloppy also it disguises itself as also intentional. So yeah, a lot of this game, even like basic character motivations, is just not going to make any sense. So just like, we're in an alien world and stuff is just kind of happening.
Yeah. So now we get a tutorial for the battle system because we're about to actually play the fucking game and there's going to be random battles. There's a lot of battle system tutorial, but I think it actually is pretty intuitive and like flows together well. And we can talk about the battle system in MemMoms.
Yeah.
If we want to, because I think it's pretty cool. Edge flies through the valley and finds a crashed airship, and because this is a video game, he finds an audio log in the wreckage. The audio log just says some stuff about, like, we can't let that dragon fall into the wrong hands, which presumably is the dragon Edge is riding. As Edge continues, he sees someone being pursued by a giant monster. Edge attacks the monster so the guy can get away, and now we have to fight the monster, and it's actually kind of really serious. I had a hard time with it. I did beat it on my first try, but it was rough.
I should point out to the listeners, I am not playing the game this time. I've played the game pretty recently. I remember it very strongly. But with how my life is, I can't play the game right now. They just wanted me on as a quote unquote expert.
An expert, yes.
Also, it's not Christmas, so I didn't play it last Christmas, but this next holiday season I am going to play the whole series of Panzer Dragoon. The thing about playing all these games is you can play all games, the entire series, in like 30 hours.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Probably less. Probably maybe 20. It's a very light load to play an entire game series, so which is why everybody should do it.
Yes. After killing the monster, Edge checks on the guy he rescued. The guy's named Gash, and he is very interested in Edge's dragon. He says that with the dragon, Edge could fight against the Empire. Gash is from the Seekers, a group which searches the ancient ruins for treasure, which is also what the Empire does, because I think that's what everyone does in this world. Gash says he got separated from his people when that monster attacked, and asks if Edge could help him get to Canis Village in the south. You really got to hit that K sound on that name. Edge agrees to help, and they fly to the village. When they get there, it's deserted, and it seems the villagers were attacked by monsters and all torn to pieces. Edge and Gash set up camp and talk about dragons. Gash says that among the Seekers, dragons are considered messengers of the gods. He doesn't seem to believe in gods, though, because if there were gods, would the villagers here have been violently killed by monsters? Gash says the Empire believes dragons are demons that rose from hell and left the ancient age in ruins. But what is the truth? Who can say? Gash asks what Edge will do now, and Edge says he's going after Kramen to get revenge for the friends he killed. Now Edge asks what Gash's deal is. Gash says he's looking for someone known only as the Divine Visitor, and Edge is like, elaborate on that, and Gash is like, no. Gash finds a message from a dead Seeker who wrote in his own blood that monsters were led here by Kramen, who is headed north. The next morning, Gash asks Edge to take him across the desert so he can rendezvous with some Seekers there. It would be wild for Edge to say no to this request, so he says yes. We can now ask Gash a ton of questions for world building and information on the desert dungeon we're about to do, but let's just move on. After a lot of flying through and under the desert, we reach a boss. We kick its ass, but it gets right back up. Luckily, our dragon reveals it can change forms and uses this power to kick the boss's ass again. Gash mutters something about how this dragon must be the one. And Edge is like, elaborate on that. And Gash is like, no. This form-changing thing is a pretty wild actual mechanic in the game, and I'm kind of scared to mess with it.
It's deranged. Here's the thing.
I was worried you were going to say it's actually very simple, and you're being weak.
This game, I will give you one hint. This game is very easy. You do not need to stress out about it mechanically. They tuned it. They definitely tuned it a bit too easy, and it's never going to be, I mean, with a few exceptions, it's never going to be super stressful, which is good because a lot of its game ideas are so utterly baffling that if you really had to get your mind around it, it would probably be like make the game less fun, frankly. And also it's not very well balanced. And also, there's a lot of completely unexplained mechanics. Like you're gonna be getting all these special moves, and at no point do they like. It doesn't say like this special move has an attack power of 40 and this one has an attack power of 45. So you'll get a new move and you're like, is this new move I just got like better than the old move I had? And you try using it and you're like, I don't get it. And some of the moves that you get towards the end have strange like features, like, oh, it'll do more damage in this situation, and none of this is explained. It's the kind of stuff you'd understand if you looked at a wiki, but I love how bold it is. I love how obtuse it is, but I'm also glad that you don't have to really understand any of it. It's you read it later and go, oh, that's interesting type situation.
Yeah. Once they're across the desert, Gash says he'll go alone from here. He gives Edge a pendant and says that if he shows that to the people at a nearby caravan, they'll help him. As long as he doesn't tell them about the dragon, that is. Gash says they're bros now, and they do a cool fist bump before parting ways. Edge goes to the caravan. He meets with their leader and tells his story. The leader says that some men fitting that description passed through and headed towards the Forbidden Zone, an area around some ruins from the Ancient Age, because I think most stuff is around ruins from the Ancient Age, but this zone is forbidden, and it's really dangerous, and if Kramen's going there, Edge can just let the monsters get his revenge for him, but Edge wants to go anyway. So Edge goes to the Forbidden Zone, and there's this whole, like, open air dungeon where you have to fly around and shoot these things to turn off the security system. You do that, but then you're in the sky and you see Kramen's ship. So we got to go after him. After a boss fight with the ship, Edge boards the ship and heads through the bridge in search of Kramen. Instead, he finds a badly injured Arwen. I think it's Arwen, the guy with the ponytail from before, but it's sort of hard to tell with these graphics sometimes if they don't have, crazy hair and jackets.
Yeah. A lot
Anyway,
of the guys just look like some guy.
Yeah. Either you have a crazy haircut or you're just some guy. Anyway, this guy, who's probably Arwen, says some shit about how they fell for their trap, and Kramen's probably at the tower by now, and then he's like, wait, you're from the excavation site. That's weird. Oh well, she will finish you. And Edge is like, elaborate on that. And half the bridge is suddenly blown up. Edge sees the girl from the excavation site outside, no longer embedded in stone, instead embedded in a cool-ass jacket and standing on a cool dragon. Edge jumps on his own dragon and asks why she's attacking him. She says, his enemy is my enemy. Edge is like, elaborate on that. And she shoots lasers at him. Edge reluctantly fights her, and when he wins, she tells her dragon, Atolm, that it still needs rest, and they retreat, but she says they'll be back. Now it's time to change discs. What will happen on disc 2? Will anyone ever elaborate on the plot? Who can say?
Yeah, to be clear, we are a quarter of the way through the game now.
Yeah.
Basically nothing has happened. It's tell the game.
Game rules.
Yeah, it's really freaking cool, actually. I initially bounced off of it a couple of years ago, but that was because Saturn emulation is really hard, and on my computer at the time, it skipped the first 15-minute cutscene. So imagine if your only thing you know about the game is you're in a room and you walk to an elevator, and then you're in a dragon. I was like, oh, this is not for me. But now that that's
just also the story of why me, despite being a massive Panzer Dragoon fan and a massive like weird Japanese shit fan, did not play the game until just a few years ago, because in college I tried playing it. The state of Saturn emulation was dire, so I just wasn't able to. For anyone wanting to play this game, by the way, Saturns do not cost a lot of money, and they are phenomenally easy to mod. They're so easy to mod to where they burn games. It's like zero effort at all. So just like get a Saturn, mod it, get a nice CRT. That's like $100, and you can play quite a few really great weird games.
Yeah, I've been playing mine on the Saturn that Maddie definitely remembered to ship to me, even though she works at a shipping company, and it shouldn't be this hard to remember to ship it to me.
Okay, the reason why I haven't shipped you that is because there's a number of things I'm supposed to mail to you, and at some point the things I'm supposed to mail to you got in a box, got mixed up with some other things that I'm not supposed to mail to you because they're not for you, and I haven't remembered to sort out what stuff it is, because I would really hate it if I mailed you something and then later my wife was like, hey babe, where's my X? Like, oh shit, I sent that to Sam. So anyway, it's not just the mailing issue, it's a me badly living my life issue, which is okay, I think.
Yeah, I'm just picking. I just forget about it because it's been like a couple of years since you offered it to me, and I'll just remember randomly on like a Wednesday night. Yeah. I'll be like, oh hey, by the way, whatever happened? And Maddie will be like, I don't know.
Yeah.
But
or you can just buy the game for $1,400.
Yeah, do that.
Yeah, that's the thing. Is the game is the reason the game's phenomenally rare, by the way, in the States, is mostly because it came on 4 discs, and the 4 discs was, I believe, it was 1 disc actually in the case, like it's like in the little spot where a disc goes in a case, and then the other 3 discs were in like paper sleeves. So it's actually not that expensive. If I last time I checked, to acquire a copy of the first disc of the game, and it's a lot more to get the in game. Because people's discs got scratched up. The game had a very run in the West.
But man, the visuals in this game are so cool.
Yeah, and like this is one of the battle systems. Shout outs to Wild Arms 5 because this is exactly where they stole that idea from. I love MediaVision. I don't think MediaVision came up with the Hex battle system all by themselves, but it's looks so intimidating when you first start and they start throwing words at you and saying, "Oh, you have to take care of this and do that," and then you play it and you're like, "Oh, this is actually just weird but normal." And in a very, very, very good way. And I was loving it so much.
It's weird how much it does just feel like you're playing Panzer Dragoon 2's Vi. Like you'd think it'd be way different. It's ATB, and your
Yes.
meter fills up, and when your meter fills up, you can shoot the bad guy, or you can change your position to where you're in front of, to the left or right of, or behind the enemy. And you also have special moves, and yeah, it's like ATB and meters.
Mhm.
Yeah. So you are always on one side of the enemy. The enemy is in the middle, and you can move around. While you're moving, your meter does not fill. So you want to stay in the right place, but also not move so that your meter can have time to fill up. There's like a radar that shows you this area is dangerous, so you want to go to the areas in green that are the least dangerous, but the enemies can also move, and you can use your laser, which shoots multiple targets randomly and I think does a greater damage overall, or you can use the gun to take out a specific enemy.
Yeah, that sounds
Or a
right.
specific body part of the enemy.
Strategy is wanting to move to enemies' weak points to shoot them, and but also not, of course, also not wanting to use all your energy moving because you got to, attack. The main strategy is not getting in a situation where maybe an enemy moves to where you're now in their bad zone and they're about to blast you with a really strong attack and you can't move out of the way because you're like out of energy. That's the main thing, is like managing your energy such that pressing the attack and attacking them while also making sure that you maintain agility so that you can not get friggin' blasted. And once you master it, it's arguably too easy, but it is very fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love the aha moments that it gave me where like if I'm moving, my ATB stops, but if they're moving, my ATB keeps going. So I would like bait them into like I would go into
Yep.
their blind spot so that they would move so that I would be able to just shoot them as soon as they stopped moving, because I would know that like their strong spot, because risk reward is also their weak point. So I would
Yeah.
go to where they would move me into their weak point, and I would just be
Yep.
spamming the button. So as soon as they stop, I would get them. It was very cool.
There's
Yes.
just a lot of subtle. There's just a lot. It's not like really brainy. It's more like you get an intuition for what to do.
And one thing that I find just feels really great is when you have 3 meters, and when one of them fills, or you can let all 3 fill if you want, you can press the menu button to select what you want to do. But also you just have a button for gun and a button for laser, so you can just mash those when your meter fills up. It makes the battles a lot breezier than if you had to actually go through the menu each time.
Yeah, and to be clear, what we're saying there is it's still just menu based. If you open the menu, you have the attack, you have the gun option in your menu and the laser option. But because the Saturn has multiple face buttons, there just is a button for doing to. So it's like a shortcut button. So it just feels, I don't know, it feels exciting. It feels more like an action game because you're just hitting the gun button to shoot them with your gun instead of picking gun from a menu. Kind of like how Persona 5 and Expedition 33 both had dedicated gun buttons. Also, the fact that you have a segmented 3-layer ATB makes me think of Final Fantasy 13.
Oh yeah. And So most of your berserk attacks, which are your special attacks, they cost berserk points, but also most of them cost 2 charges of your ATB to ATB meters. And there are some that take 3. But also, each form of the dragon apparently has and you can change the form of the dragon just by going to the menu and changing its stats, which is wild. You change its stat array.
And it only costs one ATB bar to do it. So it's not like you give up. I mean, technically that would be giving up your whole turn, but your ATB fills up so fast it doesn't feel expensive to go in and completely change how you're doing it.
I did not remember you could do it in the middle of battle. That's crazy. I wonder if I ever actually did that.
I didn't actually realize you could do that until I was watching the long play where they did that. I was like, oh, I never even thought to try because I'm scared to change my dragon's form.
I want to pause real quick and talk about the form thing.
Go for it.
So changing the dragon's form. You know how in a lot of games, or not even just games, real things too, you'll have a thing where it's like a sort of a radial stat thing where the higher the peak goes out from the center, the higher the stat is. You know, like that kind of thing. That's what this is. You said you have 4. Is it 4 stats?
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So you have 4 stats: up, down, left, right. So in other words, imagine you have a point in the center, and you move it up, you're gaining more of the top thing and less of what are the 4 stats? Speed. Well, what are they?
Power, spiritual, agility,
and defense, I think.
Yes, and defense.
So basically, attack, defense, magic, and speed. Yes. And if you make attack higher, your defense is lower, right? If you make your magic higher, your speed is lower. So like it's 2 axes, it's an X and a Y axis, and you just pick anywhere on the political alignment axis chart where you want to be.
Yes.
And that's pretty simple. And the fact that it's so granular, like it's not like, oh, you have 4 different forms. You have 4 classes. You have attack mode, defense mode, magic mode, fast mode. No, you can be anywhere. You can be like, okay, what if I was like a little bit to the right and most of the way up? What if I was in the middle of the bottom left quadrant? You can just completely arbitrarily pick any percentage you want to be of these 4 stats, which is just really strange. And it also means it's kind of hard to know, because it's like if you had 4 things, you just pick one of them. But instead it's like, okay, should I go all the way up and to the right, or should I go partially up and to the right, or should I go a little bit up and a little bit to the right?
You technically have 4,000 instead of just 4, if I'm right on the map.
And here's the fun part. When you're in the menu doing this, it shows a 3D model of your dragon, and it morphs in real time to reflect what you're doing.
And it makes a cool sound.
Imagine when you're doing like an art, like if you're doing like Microsoft Paint or any kind of like color thing where it's like, I want to pick a color, and it gives you that little grid, and you just move your cursor around to any point in the gradient of color to pick the one that you want. That's what it is. The dragon granularly morphs, like bigger or smaller or thinner or sleeker, or changes color. And there's no reason they did not have to do this. I don't want to think about how much time it took to get this menu working. And it's the coolest thing I've ever seen, but it's like, why would they put in all the work to do this? It's deranged.
Yeah, I definitely messed around with the menu and then put it back in the center.
I need to correct it wasn't 4,000 forms, it's 40,000 forms. There are 40,000 variations of dragon.
And again, it's not like they designed 40,000 dragons, it's algorithmic, but just like they are algorithmically like expanding and contracting and scaling and rotating the different like polygons that make up this dragon. Again, in real time, right in front of your face. And then whatever you land on, okay, that's what your dragon looks like now.
Yeah.
It's a crazy feature to have.
And which form you have your dragon in, it's granular, but depending on where you put the dot, it will be like, this is attack form, spiritual form, defense form, agility form, normal form. It's going to be one of those 5. And which of those sections that you're in determines what berserk moves you'll learn. And also gives you a special ability for when all 3 of your ATB bars are charged. When you're in normal form, that means you slowly recover health when all your bars are charged. So if you charge all your bars, you can like hang out in the green area for a bit and try and heal a bit.
Yeah, so it's sort of a class system. It's not even that it's not that complicated. It's just that like if you were to only ever make your little cursor be all the way north, all the way south, all the way west, all the way east or center, then it would just be basically a class system with 5 classes, and it's not that complicated. But instead they did this completely granular thing which is just a flex. It's just a flex. It's just cool as hell. It makes your dragon feel phenomenally characterful and powerful because it's like, wow, this dragon can like shapeshift into anything, you know? It's so strange.
I really like it because, and I'm glad to hear that the game is easy because now it'll just make me feel really fucking powerful because it made me feel powerful with like, I would be in agility form by like 2%, but be in whatever, like attack form at like 98%. So then I could be going super fast. And then just like with a tiny little tweak, now I got the really kick ass final move and shit. And so just like finding ways to change it mid battle was awesome. And to know that the game is mostly easy, so that will just make me kick ass harder is great.
Yeah. I just want to encourage you to not stress that much about it because it's you're gonna be fine. So feel free to just have fun with it.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. Sometimes old RPGs, it's like, this is really weird and abstruse, and I don't know what to do. And also, you got to figure it out, or you're gonna die.
Yeah. Eventually you'll settle on a few pretty consistent tactics and then you'll just be like, okay, I'm just gonna do that forever now.
Yeah.
Why did they make Edge look like that?
I don't know. He has a bad haircut.
He has a bad haircut, and his like FMV model is fine. His in-game model is like short and dumpy, and it's so weird.
He looked so much he's just some guy in a way
Yeah.
that I think is really impressive.
Like with how much visual awesomeness is on display in this game, and they're like, and our main character is in peasant robes with a bowl cut, and that's it.
Well, that's the thing. I'm not saying that the guy looks generic or boring because everything in this game has the extremely unique visual language. Like they're clearly going for a very like Near East, like they're going for a very like Ottoman kind of like sort of look for the whole thing. Not just Ottoman, but like yeah. It doesn't look generic. The whole world looks unique, but given this game's visual language, given this game's world, this guy is like the equivalent of just like a peasant. Just like imagine imagine you're playing Age of Empires and you've got the guy who's just like, more work? Yes, me lord. And he's just like, I'm just a farmer. I've got a little bowl cut and sackcloth and little slippers, little sandals, and I'm just tending my fields. Like the most generic looking fantasy, like illiterate, like mud hut living fantasy peasant, like medieval peasant, but like this world's version of that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he is wearing like some kind of military uniform actually, but it's just whatever.
Yeah.
There are a lot of places in this game where I can see that like the Western release was an afterthought, and one of my the first ones that I saw that made me say, oh, this game is going to rule because it was cheap, was they didn't re-render the opening FMV. So it goes through this elaborate establishing of the title sequence for the wrong title of the game. And then it goes to the title screen that doesn't match. And I'm like, yeah, that rules. That's great.
Yeah, the FMV is like, Azel, Panzer Dragoon RPG. And you're like, what's that?
My Saturn emulation woes unrelated to this recently have been, for some reason I can't get the translation patch for Shining Force 3 disc 1 to work correctly, and so many times I will start it up and be like, is this going to work? And then it'll be in Japanese. I'm like, dang it, I have to try again. So when I started yet another Saturn game and I get the Japanese title at the beginning, I'm like, oh shit. But no, that's just how it was.
Yeah, I mean, it's an FMV. It's a lot more work to change the actual video file of an FMV than it is to change some text in a text file.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So it's pretty clear that the mysterious girl that was in the stone slab is Azel. That's her name. How would y'all describe her hair?
She's a Pikmin.
Yeah.
It is important to note she does have turf bangs.
Yes.
Yeah, she's also very androgynous,
Yes.
on purpose. This is something they talked about in interviews. It's like, yeah, we wanted this character to be like really, really like really mysterious and kind of like sexless. She does have turf bangs. You know how in Splatoon, the squidlings and octolings, like their quote unquote hair is really just like their fleshy top part of their head,
Yeah.
Yes.
but like
That's what it looks like.
but it's styled as if it's hair.
Yes.
Yeah, that's what it's like. Is this a haircut, or is your head just
Do
going
you
in
have
a
a
weird?
tentacle?
Do you have like a weird tentacle? Yeah. No, it's the coolest haircut of all time. I'm sure there's Azel cosplays out there, and I bet they're fucking awesome, especially if they include the jacket. Although she's cool as hell without the jacket too.
Yes.
Yeah.
She has like a weird, cool bodysuit or of some sort.
She's one of my favorite examples of the like waifish, very small, very mysterious looking plot girl, which is a very common plot. That's a very common narrative, and she's one of my favorite versions of this, just as purely design wise, also character wise, she's cool.
It's very cool how I think it's very fun how at the beginning of the game she's just like sort of a MacGuffin, and you sort of get an impression of a damsel in distress, and then later when you actually encounter her alive, she's wearing this badass jacket. She's standing on the dragon, not sitting on it, and she attacks you. And it's like, oh, this is not exactly what I was expecting. This is cool. And,
Yeah.
whenever you're standing on something you should be sitting on, that's cool.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's always so cool. Remember in Xenogears when everyone
Yes.
else in the game sits in the cockpit of their giant robot, like you do.
Yeah.
But Maria, the like 5-year-old girl, stands on top of the robot's head, which combined with the fact that it's the biggest of all of the robots is like, this girl is so cool.
Isn't there also the guy in Xenogears who stands in the robot's hand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, the like bad guy probably does that a lot. Graph or whatever. Oh, I should have mentioned it. At no point has anyone mentioned the dragons in this game do not look like regular
Weird.
dragons.
Yes.
They are very, very weird looking dragons. This game has this motif where a lot of the ancient ruins, they're covered in this like this like clean, rough, sort of slightly curved white material. It kind of looks like bone. It looked a lot like bone. It looks like bone, but it also looks like just like marble. Like it could be like white stone, or it could be bone. Who even knows, really? And the dragon are also covered in this. I mean, Panzer Dragon, that's one of those like doesn't actually make sense, but it makes sense if you're Japanese isms for armored dragon. Panzer Dragoon rather, armored dragon. So the armor is that the dragons also have this, they're made of they don't look like, they're not fleshy like a medieval dragon you would think, like a big lizard. They look like they're just skeletal and made of these like hard plated bone or stone or whatever, like segments, like a carapace. It's
yes,
so
I did
cool.
offhand mention the ancient beast having a carapace. It's that material.
Yeah. And so that's sort of the unifying element. Like all this ancient stuff has this. I mean, it makes sense that it would be bone for a carapace skeleton, but it doesn't make sense that it'd be bone if this is all the architecture, right? So the point is, there's a lot of like rough-hewn, clean, unadorned, like white surfaces that are kind of like bulging a little bit, like they would be if they were like the curved surface of a bone. And Azel also has sort of that same like smooth curve, white and black kind of color palette, which means she's obviously some kind of, she's related to all this ancient shit. Although if you're wondering why the Empire has suddenly gone all the way from like we're just like cavemen hitting rocks together to we have airships, I don't know where it's explained. It's explained somewhere in these games that there's this thing called a float stone, and basically it's an ancient one of the many ancient technologies. It's just like, hey, this rock, it floats. And it's like, does anyone know why this rock floats? No, we don't know why this rock floats. It could be some kind of magic. It could be some kind of just impossibly ancient technological machine. All we know is rock float. So what do you do when rock float? You use that as the core of an airship. Like in Panzer Dragoon 1 and 2 especially, and Saga, a lot of the enemy airships look like blimps.
Yes.
They look like you have like a, or they look like hot air balloons rather. You have a big balloon at the top with like the actual what do you call it? The actual body of the ship where the people are, and the guns and all that underneath, suspended by ropes. But it's not a balloon, it's just a rock that floats for no reason. So again, that's the big motif, is you've got these things built out around this core of this kind of thing. So anytime you see something like floating, you'll always see that white rock kind of thing in the middle of it.
So, because we're playing a Japanese game that uses the word dragoon and relates it to dragons, even though those words are unrelated, and this is
Yeah.
the third one of those that we've done, I decided to look up like what the fuck does that mean, and basically no one knows, but the origin of the name possibly derives from one of the arquebuses they use was called a dragon because its muzzle was shaped like a dragon, and that over time became dragoon. But the word dragoon just means like mounted gunman, and and now it also means person who really fucking hates dragons and wants to kill them in Final Fantasy, and person who rides dragons in Panzer Dragoon and Legend of Dragoon and Dragon
I think,
Dragoon.
in other words, dragoon is a cool way to say dragon.
Yeah.
Like, who cares about what it actually means? What matters is that it's basically the word dragon, but with an extra O, which makes
Oh,
it
yeah.
sound really cool and weird. So you call a dragoon, a dragon, a dragoon if you're like, whoa, that's crazy,
Or
dude.
just someone who has something to do with dragons, some relation to dragons as a person. We call that a dragoon.
I love that there's no etymology. Like, it makes more sense if you don't know anything about it. Because, like, imagine you do not know anything about any of this stuff and you just see the word Dragoon. First time you've ever seen it. What are you envisioning in your head? You're envisioning a dragon. You're like,
Yeah.
oh, it's like a dragon, I guess.
Yeah, like my first encounter with the word dragoon was in The Legend of Dragoon, and then me using context clues to figure out what it meant there works for Panzer Dragoon, works for Dragon Dragoon, works for Final Fantasy. So it's like, all right, I got it right, but no, just all of the examples I had got it wrong.
Yeah, just dragoons were originally a class of
dude.
mounted infantry who used horses for mobility but dismounted to fight on foot, is what
Yeah.
Wikipedia says. That's not a dragon. The
So
name
No, yeah, it's nothing to do
reputedly
with
derives from a type of firearm called a dragon, which was a handgun version of a blunderbuss carried by dragoons of the French army. The title has been retained in modern times by a number of armored or ceremonial mounted regiments.
Yeah.
So we don't actually know the etymology, apparently, because it says reputedly.
That's something I didn't know till today. Like, I knew what dragoon meant. I knew it was a type of like versatile mounted or unmounted French infantry. I did not know that we actually don't know where the word comes from. That's really funny.
Because it kind of started like at the same time in a lot of places. Later down in the Wikipedia article, it says it could just come from the Dutch dragon with an E instead of an O, which is the verb to carry in their respective language, which would make sense because it's a horse carrying you. And so it could have literally nothing to do with dragoons because dragons look cool, so they put a dragon on their gun, and now roundabout ways, Panzer Dragoon was right.
Who can say?
You know what's crazy? I'm Googling right now. I see
That is
like
crazy.
almost like no Azel cosplay. Are you kidding me right now?
Yeah, I was.
I
looking
mean, it is a fairly niche thing, but
I know,
but all you need is a cool wig and a cool jacket and some leggings.
yeah, there's tons of Orta cosplay because Orta has an awesome design. I'm just
Amazon
surprised. Like I know the game's kind of obscure, but like cosplayers love to cosplay really obscure shit.
Yeah, and that is interesting.
Yeah, I did find a lot of people who are cosplaying Rose from Legend of Dragoon, but then I found this one that's cosplaying Rose in her Dragoon form, and that shit's cool. Shout outs to whoever this person is.
That is really cool. Good for her.
Yeah, I googled Panzer Dragoon Azel cosplay. I see like one person, and then I see a bunch of Orta.
Yeah.
Which Orta is also a cool design.
Orta has an awesome design. Again, I saw her and I was like, wow, I feel things.
Yeah, I'm excited to play more of this game.
Me too.
I was planning on doing a little bit of it and then like doing it in chunks, and I stayed up until like 2 a.m. and played the entire first disc. So uh,
I
ready for
will
that.
give a couple hints. Bernard asked me this earlier. The game does not have multiple endings, so you don't got to worry about that.
Yeah,
You
because
don't
the
have to worry
first two
about,
games have stuff where like you have to do this to see the true ending, and I was like,
yeah.
I don't really want to Google Panzer Dragoon Saga ending before I've played Panzer Dragoon Saga, so
Yeah,
I
there's
don't know.
nothing like that. There is a lot of this game, it has a lot of completely missable content that you can just completely never know about. Like, I'll just give one example that's vague enough to not spoil. There's like a side quest you can get in a place from a character, and when you first talk to them, it's one of those things where like you may not even know it's a side quest. You might just think it's like a line of dialogue. Anyway, this character who's like an unnamed NPC ends up dying, and it's like, oh, I guess I can't do that side quest now. So like it's like that's what I mean by missables, right? There's just like stuff just happens. If you wanted to look that stuff up, feel free, but of course always it's always dangerous. I think that you would probably be fine just completely raw dogging the whole game though.
Yeah.
And later you can talk about the stuff that you read about that you missed. This is not the kind of game where you're going to be like, oh, make sure you don't miss this really important scene. Hint, hint, hint.
Hmm.
Like whatever, man. It's not gonna make the game make more sense, okay?
I was
Uh,
wondering, you find a lot of items that say like this is a carapace often used for defense or something, and I was like, am I going to like have a crafting menu or something, or can I sell this loot?
there's not like a crafting menu, though I do think that there is a like, oh, someone wants that item, so hope you
Hmm.
still have it type situation. So maybe hold on to stuff. Although
Yeah,
I can Google that to see.
I
I
was
do,
actually
yeah.
leading into. I tried googling stuff like Panzer Dragoon Saga, what can I sell, items safe to sell, that kind of thing. But I only got results for should I sell my copy of Panzer Dragoon Saga?
That's so funny. Basically, there's a lot of pretty obscure stuff that it's hard to do, and I would just resign myself to just being okay with missing a lot of it.
Yeah, and also, I mean, the good thing about this is I could I this isn't a 50-hour game, so I don't have to be like, oh, I'm definitely never going to play this again. This is my one shot. It's a 15-hour game. I can replay a 15-hour
No,
game.
exactly. Like that quest that I mentioned with the emoji that died. Next time I play the game, I'm gonna get it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You
especially
know?
because this game has skippable cutscenes, much to my disappointment when I was trying to play it the first time. But that does mean if you wanted to play it again and you just wanted to go see stuff you missed, you could just skip the cutscenes, and then the 15-hour game is probably like a 4-hour game.
Also,
Yeah.
you can not the pre-rendered cutscenes, obviously, but the in-engine cutscenes. You can speed up and slow down with the R and L buttons.
What? That's so cool.
You can fast forward or slow mo them with the L and R buttons for some reason, and they get chipmunk voices or whatever. And it's like, why is this a thing?
Uh, that's
You could
great.
presumably use it to read the subtitles easier if you found that we're going too fast.
Yeah,
But I find that the subtitles just occasionally there'll randomly be one that only shows up for a split second, and I can't read the whole thing.
yeah,
But I don't know which ones are going to do that ahead of time. So
yeah. One thing I wanted to bring up earlier because we glossed over both dungeons this week in our notes, but
they're great. I love them.
they're very very good. They also are there is a world map in this game, and there is also a place that you go where the towns are really really small dots, and you are flying over a version of them, but that's not the world map. Those are the dungeons. And the desert one has like lore behind it, where you talk to the guy and you figure out stuff, and then you go to a room and there's a problem, and then you have to explore in the area to figure out what's going on next. And then the climactic ender is a singular room, and you can kind of almost hit all of the things you need to without moving from the front. And it is very much a letdown from the desert dungeon, but the desert dungeon was so cool, and I really enjoyed it.
Oh yeah, one thing that is one of my absolute memorable moments, one of my favorite things about this game. I'm sure y'all wait, have y'all haven't like gotten to the first town, have you?
I mean, we got to the caravan, which has like 5 NPCs in it.
Yeah, okay, yeah, that counts as a town. I couldn't remember if I know you mentioned that spot, but I couldn't remember if that was the actual town or if that was like some other little one-off spot. I'm sure y'all noticed this. I love this game's UI. It's so bizarre.
I love how you still are because it's Panzer Dragoon, you interact with stuff by locking on and shooting a
Right,
laser at it,
right.
even if
So
it's a
yeah,
laser of
so
your attention.
right. So when you're first in the ruins, walking around in the first section, it doesn't control like an RPG where you just move your guy around. You know, like if you're moving using a normal 3D RPG, you control a little NPC or a little avatar, and say you see an NPC, you walk up to them and you hit A, and then you talk to them. In this game, you have a reticle that you aim like you're in a fucking shooting game, and when you point someone and then you click A and now you're talking to them. And yeah, it actually shoots a little laser, which isn't like a real laser. It's just you're just like shooting at them because you want to engage with them. But here's the fascinating thing. I'm sure you noticed this. Have y'all tried clicking on someone when you're not close to them?
Yes.
Everything in this game, or not everything, but a lot of things, at least at PC, has different dialogue. If you're next to them, and you have to, even though you're right in front of them, you still have to point at them with your aiming reticle and click on them instead of just hitting a normal style because this game is silly. You have to do all that work just to talk to someone. If you do that, you talk to them normal style, like a JRPG. They say, well met and merry welcome to our town,
I love
Uh,
chopping wood.
I love chopping wood. But if you are farther away and you point at them, your reticle is a different color, showing that you're at a distance. If you click on them then, you might think either A, nothing happens, or B, maybe you click on them and then your guy automatically walks up to them to talk. No, if you click on them from a distance, you eavesdrop on them.
Mm-hmm.
If you click on them in a distance, you'll get like either a line of prose about like just it'll be like describing them like from far away you click on them and it'll say something like I don't know like oh this man is chopping wood or this man looks like he loves chopping wood. Edge will say something about them. Or if there's
If
two
there's
different
two.
NPCs, if there's two of them, it'll be a conversation between the two of them. But again, there are RPGs. I mean, even going back to old Dragon Quest games, there's games where if there's two NPCs next to each other, you click on one, and instead of them talking to you, you get a scene where the two of them are talking to each other. But this will do that anytime you click on them from afar. So it's literally, if you click on them from afar, it's like an observe button. And if you click on them from next to them, it's a talk to button. It's crazy.
Yep.
This game does that, and also every town does have a day-night cycle. So if you really want to get the most out of this game, definitely click on things from close up and from far away, and during daytime
during
and
the
during
day.
nighttime.
Yep.
Yeah. It's like I've never seen another game do that in my life. Like, are you kidding me? It's crazy.
Cool. This game is so
Oh,
weird.
and also if you click on them multiple times, you will get multiple lines.
Yes.
Not consistently from everybody, but it's a thing. It's a common thing. So there's a lot of writing in this game. Yeah. So don't miss out on that. It's so wild.
It's very cool. So yeah, because this game is so short and we've already done a quarter of it, and we're going to cover in 3 episodes, that means that we are now 2 episodes away from the end of from the last episode of this game. So we are opening our poll already for the next game, and it is another 2 short games because Digimon is really, really long, and we don't want to play really, really long games for a while. And the games we're going to pick from is Knight and Baby, also known as Guardians Crusade, which is not as cool of a name. It's a PS1 RPG that looks really, really cool about a knight and his little weird pink friend named Baby. And then the other game we might be playing is Brave Fencer Musashi, which these 2 games are both ones that I loved growing up. I did not actually play Knight and Baby, but I had one of the, you know how some gaming magazines would randomly just have a full ass strategy guide in the middle? One of the ones I had the Knight and Baby one in the middle, and I read over it like crazy. And then Brave Prince of Musashi was one of my favorite games to play the first level of, and then not be able to save because I didn't have a memory card or whatever, and then play it again later. So I'm excited for either of these to win.
Yeah.
But
you said Guardians Crusade is not as cool a name as Knight and Baby, and I'll agree it's not as good a name, but I think just like, objectively the words Guardians Crusade are cooler than Knight and Baby, but I do prefer Knight and Baby.
That kind of reminds me of how back in the day, X-Men, they did their first big crossover event, or they did their big first event called Secret Wars, and the first thing that they thought of when they made Secret Wars was the name Secret Wars. That was before they actually made it at all. They didn't know what it was about. And the reason they called it Secret Wars was because they did focus group testing and they found out that the two words that got the kids going the most was the word secret and the word wars. So they said, okay, fine, it's called Secret Wars. I feel like whatever you said, what's it called? Guardian Heroes?
Guardians Crusade.
It's a joke.
Guardian Heroes, I think, is a different game.
I know. Yeah. It is, I know. Also on Saturn. Yeah, I feel like Guardians Crusade is similar. It's like, well, I like Guardians, and Guardians are cool, and Crusade's pretty cool. So Guardians Crusade sounds like a good game.
Yeah. But you know what's also cool? Knights and Babies.
That's true.
Anyway, you should probably read the outro.
That's what I'm about to do. Give me just a second.
While you're doing that, I'm going to say, hey guys, hey listeners, and the two of you, it was really nice to join y'all. I have been invited to join for the rest of this game. Probably won't, because, as I said off the camera, wow, my life is insane in ways that are very, very unique, actually. I'm going through some things that most people have probably never gone through in their lives, and I hadn't either, which is why I'm way out of my depth here. I probably will not be joining for the next couple of games, the next couple episodes. If I do, though, that would be awesome. And if not, I don't know, I'll see you again in 4 years. But I hope that...
I'll see you again in 25 years.
That's right. Anyway, to my fans, you're welcome, and to my enemies, fuck off, basically. Just kidding. I just wanted to say that. Yeah.
But on that note, that will do it for the week. If you like what you heard today, you can head on over to www.rpgbook.club, where any and all donations help us offset the cost of running the show. If you decide to donate $1 more a month, you can become one of our Catamounts and get access to our bonus feed filled with after shows for every episode, as well as bonus seasons of the show, such as Tales of Podcastia, The Escape Pod. And you'll also be able to vote on our next game between Guardians Crusade, Knight and Baby, or... That sounded like an Oxford comma. It wasn't. It was parentheses. So Guardians Crusade, a.k.a. Knight and Baby, or Brave Fencer Musashi. If you up your donation to $5 or more each month, you become one of our warriors and get your name read at the end of every episode, a little like this. Shoutouts to Dragon Slayer 19, Freddy Rodriguez, and JFro Prime. And if you really, really love us and you want to be one of our luminaries, you can donate $20 or more each month to get a short one-sentence shout-out or advert right at the end of each episode, a little like this. Shoutouts to El Tantavi, who wants you to check out Aftermath.site, a worker-owned, reader-supported news site covering video games, the internet, and the cultures that surround them. Shoutouts to Kildronis, who says to check out Desert Bus for Hope. It's a charity marathon event coming up on October 23rd. For more info, check out desertbus.org. And shoutouts to Vimke, who says, so here's the thing. Your lady would set the locked tomb on fire if it meant I'd never see another sky, Gideon said, looking up. And then shouts to It's Claire Time, who says, for you TTRPG nerds, check out Fabula Ultima. I'm not affiliated with the game, I just think it's neat. For RPG Book Club, I've been Sam.
I'm Bernard.
And I'm Maddie Grace Webbin.
Toodaloo, folks.
Bye, folks.